Okay, so welcome to our final and unexpectedly post-recorded session from today's meeting. We're very sorry about the team's issues, occupational hazard in 2021 and 2020. So now I'm just going to share my screen and go through some slides that I've summarized of today's events. Okay, so Okay, so not to parrot everything that Chris Goldman and I talked about in our sessions this morning, but one of the clearest messages from today is the reinforcement of the point that young people really have borne the brunt of the jobs crisis of this pandemic, whether that be in losing their jobs, losing regular hours, being furloughed, or in retraining for roles in other industries. Young people are also far more likely to be changing jobs or entering the jobs market, most likely to lose their jobs in slowdowns in general, and were more severely hit by the first lockdown hitting as summer recruitment was starting. Nearly 1 million young people are also now on universal credit, as discussed by Chris this morning as well. And while these figures aren't the most positive, they do underline the importance of events like today and of making sure that we utilize them as best we can to tackle the problems facing young people in the labour market today more effectively as we move forward. Another clear theme of today has been talking about young people as a single cohort can often hide inequalities within this age group, and that there are particular challenges and structural disadvantages faced by particular job seekers and workers that require a special focus from us all and perhaps specialist policy approaches and practitioner approaches. The Youth Futures Foundation research discussed this morning, for example, highlighted that falls in employment have been 4 times and 3 times greater for Black and Asian young people, respectively. And given these particular challenges as we move forward in the next stage of dealing with this crisis, it is important that we do not lose sight of the fact that different approaches may be required in effectively addressing issues faced by particular groups of young people in the labour market today. There has also been a clear through line through today in focusing on what works in delivering support for young people, both in policy and practice. This can be seen in the evaluation of evidence-based approaches discussed in this morning's session with the Youth Futures Foundation, and in Christiana Orlando's focus on learning from local providers and work on the ground in her Institute for Employment Studies Quality of Work survey, which we'll also email a link round to. And in our virtual roundtable this morning with ERSA bursary holders, we saw the different ways in which organisations across the country are putting these principles into practice. And finally, perhaps the most important theme of today's sessions has been on the absolute centrality of collaboration in effectively tackling the challenge of youth unemployment, both between those of us in attendance today and beyond. Collaboration has been discussed in many forms today, whether it be in encouraging and facilitating new ways of including youth voices themselves in the formulation of policy and practice, or between bursary holders in their approaches to supporting young people, or in highlighting the disconnect between local and national government in tackling youth unemployment in a more joined up policy manner. Focus on collaboration is key given the scale of the challenge, and to use an overused cliche, we are stronger together than we are apart. In terms of our key messages for commissioners from today's event, we would urge them to place a greater emphasis on speaking and listening to those in the field that have experience in evaluating what works to better develop evidence-based policy in supporting young people. Tracking impacts over the longer term is also key to ensure that both more evidence on what works is established, what doesn't work, and in better determining the outcomes of pre-existing policies. Young people themselves and their perspectives also need to be more involved in shaping policy design alongside practitioners to make sure that support really works for them rather than is done to them. Fragmentation of policy and funding is also a key ongoing issue and concern to keep on the agenda as best we can, and to apply pressure on policymakers wherever possible to enable a more joined up approach in helping to support young people in the labour market. So thank you all for coming today. Please accept our apologies again for the technical difficulties we experienced towards the end of the event. It really is an occupational hazard, and we're just happy that it didn't scupper the rest of the event. Please do get in contact with us at policy@ersa.org.uk if you want to add anything else, or if I've missed anything. and all the content recordings and slides from today will be shared by the end of the week. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.